Right now at 6, threats in Tualatin force a middle school to evacuate.
The threat today, however, was specific in terms of time and place.
The viral video that may have sparked it with the FBI now involved. Plus, a government shutdown looms with time running out.
I'm really frustrated because this could end overnight.
How dysfunction on Capitol Hill could soon impact the Northwest. And later,
it was all my raw materials, gold, silver, gemstones, pearls that I work with.
She survived a medical emergency only to find her studio ransacked. Why this Portland artist believes she was targeted.
Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. Our top story at 6, threats made against a Tualatin middle school and senior district officials forced the school to shut down and send hundreds of kids home. That follows video of a student attacking another on campus that went viral, one that has been politicized on social media by some claiming without evidence the alleged perpetrator identifies as transgender. Let's get right to Tim Gordon live at Hazelbrook Middle School. Tim, we should mention everyone is okay, but I can imagine the way this went down was startling for so many parents.
Yeah, certainly a very big concerning issue for a lot of people, parents included, as misguided anger has led to a flurry of threats here at Hazelbrook Middle School. And that outrage had real consequences today after someone made a threat of violence so serious the school had to be cleared of students and staff. It was a bomb threat emailed in Friday morning that forced school officials to quickly evacuate students and staff from the Hazelbrook Middle School campus. The school has been the target of multiple threats in the past couple days, but this threat was specific in terms of time and place and method.
It involved not just the school specifically, but it also involved staff members' homes and families.
The superintendent says this threat and others deemed not credible in recent days all stem from a recent student-on-student assault on campus, the type encouraged in videos on some social media sites.
How I feel about that is that it angers me. It angers me because it takes us away from the mission of serving children and serving our community.
The alleged attacker was arrested and is facing legal and school consequences. But video of the assault went viral, largely pushed by people who oppose transgender freedoms. People pushing the video online said it appeared to them the attacker was transgender, even though there is no confirmation about the student's actual gender identity.
This other piece, which is because the student has a particular gender identity, therefore there is no connection, and that is the hate that we are dealing with right now from groups from across the nation and even here locally, and that has no place in our schools.
So it is a quiet campus here for now as investigators look into the threat and where it came from, while also arranging security for those specifically targeted. And that includes the superintendent and school board members who have their home addresses doxed online. So local police, with help from the FBI, is investigating all this. And David, as long as the threat is cleared, school will return to normal on Monday, but so far that's not been decided. Back to you.
Yeah, a lot of families, I'm sure, hoping for normal. Tim Gordon in Tualatin. Thank you, Tim. Developing right now in North Portland, a young man has been taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries this afternoon after he was shot. This was around 2:30 near North Fowler and Kilpatrick Streets. It's in the Kenton neighborhood, not far from Columbia Park. Police tell us they have detained one person for questioning. It is not clear if they have been arrested. We'll bring you more details as they become available. We are now just under 27 hours from a likely federal government shutdown. You can see it ticking down there after House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's last-ditch effort to keep things funded and running for another month essentially failed. Meanwhile, the Senate is working on its own bipartisan plan that's headed for votes this week. And even if that passes before tomorrow night's deadline, at this point, it doesn't appear to have much of a chance at all in the House. Let's bring in our Blair Best in the newsroom, taking a look at the potential impact of a shutdown right here in the Northwest. Blair.
Well, David, it would mainly impact federal workers. That's people like TSA agents, air traffic controllers, even park rangers. Those with essential jobs will continue to work but won't get paychecks until the shutdown is over. Now, as for non-federal workers, they likely won't see much of an impact right away, but that could change depending on how long the shutdown would last. And right now, it's that uncertainty that's having the biggest impact on Oregonians. Now, a government shutdown would mean no paychecks for millions of federal workers and members of the military. It could also disrupt air travel. Here in Oregon, the Port of Portland now warning travelers to prepare for delays, since some employees won't be able to afford to continue working without pay. It would also mean the closure of federal parks and monuments, among other things. However, certain benefits would continue for a month. Now, those include Social Security checks, Oregon health plan benefits under Medicaid, and food stamps. Now, we talked with representatives on both sides of the aisle, many calling this a crisis, and Democrats now pointing the finger at Republicans, arguing they're putting Republican priorities before a bipartisan agreement.
And it is unacceptable that the extreme House Republicans have put the country in this position, because that's exactly what's happening.
But here we are. And I can only imagine what Americans are thinking and trying to figure out. The uncertainty is almost too great probably for some.
Okay, so as mentioned, there's enough federal funding to keep many federal programs like food stamps going for the next 30 days. But if a shutdown lasts longer, that's when Oregonians could really start to see more of an impact on their everyday lives. And if that happens, it would be the 4th time the government has shut down in the past 10 years. David?
27 hours and counting. Thank you, Blair. All right, everybody, welcome to the weekend. Let's take you outside on this Friday evening where we are socked in with cloud cover, sitting at 63 degrees over the Rose City. Ashley Grams is in for Matt this evening. So, Ashley, how are Saturday and Sunday looking?
Right, it's been a little bit of a gray day, a little bit of a gray week, but we're starting to see that break here. Let's take a look outside at Lincoln City right now. You can see it has just gotten a little bit darker here in the past few minutes, but some blue sky was breaking through, and we're going to see that cloud start to head out east, and so we're going to see less of that on the coast, less of that here in the metro area, and it has been warming up just a bit. Let's take a look at some of our highs today. 63 degrees in Portland, 63 degrees in Hillsborough. We've been sitting in the 60s here on the coast, 61 degrees out at the Dalles, and so we're going to see just a little bit of an uptick Saturday and Sunday. We're going to see less cloud cover, so it's going to be definitely a beautiful weekend. So again, those showers that we've seen today, mostly south of Salem, those are going to wrap up, and then look at this, 70 degrees on Sunday. I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up.
Looking forward to that. Thank you, Ashley. Let's get to your headlines now this evening, starting with an Oregon man already awaiting trial for kidnapping and rape, now facing new charges in a similar and separate case. Prosecutors allege 29-year-old Nagasi Zuberi sexually assaulted and used a taser against a victim back in May in Klamath County. He now faces charges for kidnap, rape, and assault. You might remember Zuberi is the same man authorities say impersonated a police officer in order to kidnap a woman near Seattle in July. He is accused of sexually assaulting her and driving her to his Klamath Falls home. Police say he kept her in a cinder block cell he built in his garage. She managed to escape, eventually leading to his arrest. Nearly 24 people are facing a slew of charges after a major car and retail theft bust. Portland Police East Precinct teamed up with the Sheriff's Office and the DA on an operation that focused on Mall 205, Gateway, and Menlo Park. The team recovered 3 stolen vehicles, 4 firearms, and more than $6,000 worth of merchandise. 22 people were arrested. The charges range from theft to felony firearm possession to eluding police. 4,000 Kaiser Permanente workers in Oregon and Southwest Washington are set to go on strike starting Sunday. Their current contract expires tomorrow, and as far as we know, they have not reached an agreement. The union includes pharmacists, surgical techs, housekeeping staff, and security officers. And dozens of Legacy Health employees have taken the first step to unionize ahead of a proposed merger with OHSU. Today, nearly 250 doctors, nurse practitioners, and nurses assistants across 8 hospitals filed union authorization cards with the National Labor Relations Board. Workers say they are motivated in part by a desire to improve patient care. This evening, controversy continues to swirl around highway tolls in the Portland Metro, and while plans are officially on pause until 2026, ODOT has pushed out a new survey, one That's raising a lot of eyebrows. Thomas Schultz joins us near the Abernathy Bridge along I-205. Thomas, what is this all about?
Yeah, David, I spoke with Westland leaders and residents today who say the survey put a positive spin on the tolling plan and that they were unable to fully express their true opinions. Westland Mayor Rory Bialystoski says one of the questions asked was if it was reasonable to pay a few dollars for a faster trip on I-5 or 205. Though he says it's unclear how much a toll would actually cost. We previously reported ODOT is looking at variable tolls with costs ranging from 50 cents to $2.20 throughout the day. Though in February, before the plan was paused until 2026, ODOT released its environmental assessment of Abernathy and Tualatin River Bridge tolls. In it, ODOT says the average household would pay $575 a year in tolls. Bialystoski is also frustrated because ODOT told city leaders tolling would increase traffic on city roads, though there isn't data for how each specific road would be impacted at this point in time. He and Westland residents say the survey also just didn't allow them to give their opinion on the plan as a whole.
When you put out a survey seeking public input and you don't take opposition, or you kind of frame it all in a way to keep it focused on, supporting tolling, people are pent up. They want to express themselves.
Now, in a statement, ODOT says that the survey is just a way to help keep the public informed about the studies that have been discussed already, and also to learn the trade-offs of 3 different approaches to the plan. And David, they say in the future that public input is going to be key on what they ultimately decide to do.
Yeah, it sure is. Thomas Schultz along I-205 tonight. Thank you, Thomas.